Alright, an update on the progress. I've actually finished the repairs to the hockey stick, put all new metal in there. Also inside there's a little bracket that this welds to. I replaced that. It's a little bit rusted, but it was easy to make a new one. So that's nice and solid. The A-pillar, I've got a repair to make to this edge here. I've got a piece cut out for that. I decided that I'd actually repair this panel. We'll see how that goes. So I've got a piece already cut out for that, ready to go in. I removed the remainder of the old bulkhead. Cut a bit of the rust out there for the moment, and so that's almost cleaned up. I'll probably spot blast in around here. There was light surface rust under that, under the seam sealer, so I need to clean that out, and also in around here I'll spot blast that, get rid of the rubbish out of there. I've taken this side plate up, I don't know what you call it, but I've actually removed that. There was what appeared to be a build-up of surface rust in the edge of this, but what I've actually found is it was very thick seam sealer. I don't know whether you can see that, but this edge here is not straight, it's actually very wavy, and although it was spot welded, there were big gaps which were filled up with wads of seam sealer, and surface rust was in behind that. So I've taken that off. Took a while to get it off. I'll clean that up. I'll probably straighten this out. At this stage that piece is in the vinegar bath, getting cleaned up, removing any surface rust. Now the advantage I've got in taking this off at this stage is that I was intending to remove this panel at some stage. No, not at the moment. I'll wait until I've got the sills and some strength back in the vehicle, but I am going to, as I say, at this stage, take this panel out because I've got some rust repairs to do to the left hand side, and it would be easier to do the repairs with the panel out. And to get the panel out, it's really necessary to remove this side plate, because the way it's designed, this side plate actually lips around that, so it would be extremely difficult to get this panel out with that in place. So that in mind, I took that off. It gives me complete access to this A-pillar now to clean it up and cover it in red oxide. There's really little damage to the A-pillar, so it's mainly this side, which is what I'll work on next. Then that, then spot blast, then look at positioning. I'd say I'll put the inner sill in. I won't weld it, but I'll fix it in place, either with clips or maybe a few screws to make sure it's in its final resting place to be welded. Once I've done that and really lock that sill in, then I'll start to make up these panels and fit the other panels to it. So there's a little bit of progress this month as I finished the B and the repairs to the back. This won't take long to do the repairs to that, or to lock this in, so I hope to make a fair bit of progress during the next month. Maybe, this is a maybe at this stage, if I can get this in, the end plate positioned, I'll probably drop the floor in and look at repairing possibly at least this panel, which is that, and that panel. This bit I'll probably replace because it's badly pitted. So by the end of the the end of June, there's a good chance I'll actually have it to the stage where I can drop the floor in to see how that fits. When I do that, it'll give me an idea of how things line up, and also whether I can then weld this inner sill, and I probably will weld that inner sill in place once I'm sure that everything's positioned correctly. Once I've got that inner sill welded, then I'll look at addressing this transmission tunnel, which has got a bit of rust in the back end there. It's also got a lot of surface rust inside it, which would be easier to remove if I remove that tunnel. So on this stage I'm probably going to remove it, but I'll reserve judgment till I get the other pieces in place. So that's where I'm at this stage. I'm just working on the bulkhead repairs. This panel, I've made up a new repair piece which I'll position when I put the floor back in. That's not so much a problem, that was the easy bit. The difficult bit has been working out the actual shape of this panel and also this little filler piece. And I've spent hours panel beating, just trying to straighten the panel out. Now, in one of my earlier videos I showed what I thought was a very bad air conditioner fit, and in a sense I blame the installers for sloppy work. I think I'll just climb in here. Now this is the work I referred to before, which I thought was all the installers doing, but in hindsight, when I've been working on it, I've actually worked out that's not likely to be the installer, but a subsequent repair. Now, all this panel is pushed in, and it was pushed in, what's that, the light there? Yeah. And it was all pushed in here too, the same. This major panel here was cut. The same problem there, it was cut. And all these holes were out of shape. Now, as I've been straightening this, the hole actually becomes actually more defined. That's just a bit bent out at the moment, but the hole is actually very good. So the installer did the right work, but what I think has happened, and only the previous owner could verify this, and if he's watching this video I wouldn't mind some information, but what I think has happened is that the engine's been taken out at some stage. When it's been put back, it's basically pushed against this and pushed all this out of alignment. Now I'll show you when I get out from the position I'm in a minute why I think that's happened. And with that being pushed back, and it'd be easy enough to do, I mean the engine's quite heavy. If you were trying to install it, it's a tight fit, and if you let it go, and it would hit with one hell of a thump and push all of that back. Now what happens when that's pushed back, it pushes back the radio console, and in this case air conditioner unit and everything, and it pushes it all out of alignment. Now, with the car intact inside, it's very hard to actually repair that without removing basically most of the dash to get at it and to straighten it properly. Well, what I think has happened, all of that's been left in place, and when you try and straighten the alignment of these, oh, hang on, just get out a second. When you try and straighten the alignment of these brackets, if they've been pushed back, as I say, it pushes the radio console back in towards the car, pushes everything out of alignment. To get it back in place, what they've done, they've taken the easy bit. You bash this panel in to try and bring the brackets around. What you then do is that, because it's terribly bent, you then start to cut this panel to relieve pressure so you can push it back into some form of shape. So it's been a very, very sloppy job. Why I think it's been pushed back, if you look at this panel here, this is the side of the transmission, this has been concertinaed. It's got folds in it, as if the panel has been, it's been pushed from the other side and concertinaed this panel in here. That's why I think it's been hit quite hard. Now, has it been in a motor vehicle accident and everything pushed back? I don't think so, because everything else is straight. There's no damage to the engine frames. They're all straight. There's no damage on that. There's been no damage on this mounting point here. That's all perfect. It's not in any way out of shape. Doesn't look like it's ever been removed and replaced. So I think the damage has been isolated to the engine coming back in and pushing that backwards. Now, I'll just get back in here. What I am going to do is I'll continue to straighten this to find out what the shape should be. These pieces here that have been cut off, I'll straighten them out and weld them back on as they should have been, not just cut off. And you'll see there, if that's welded on, the hole actually for the air conditioner drain is actually quite well done, as it should have been. And as I say, I blame the installer for that, but it's not the installer. This is subsequent repairs, and you know, it's pretty rough work. I don't know what this was cut for, but an opening cut there. I say that piece of this panel here has been cut off, obviously with a pair of tin snips, and then everything bashed back into some semblance of alignment in terms of the console. So that's what I think's happened. Now, when I got this car, the air conditioner was out. Now, even to do this repair, you would have to take the air conditioning unit out and make your repairs, and then perhaps they didn't put them back in. So that's what I think's happened. I'll spend more time straightening this panel out. Once I've got it straight and the shape right, I'll look at which parts of this I'll replace. Obviously I've got to replace the top end of that. I'll probably replace it in here where it's been badly damaged. And this little filler panel, I'll replace that as well. The transmission sides, I've decided I'm actually going to replace those. They're pretty rough. There's rust in the top end, and they're all crumpled up the front end here. It's not worth repairing them, so I'll replace those. Anyway, that's where it's at this stage. I'll keep working on this to straighten it up, and I'll make some repair sections for this, and hopefully I'll be getting a bit closer to fixing this side of the, whatever you call this, I suppose the bell housing section of the bulkhead. The A-pillar repairs are finished. This flange, this piece in there, that's all new. As I've said before, I've made up a new panel for that to go in there, and I'm making up new panels to go into here, part probably across about there. New piece there, I think they call it the wedge. This is on order. Now, I was going to pull the tunnel completely out, but I've decided not to. I'm actually going to repair it in situ, so it'll mean cutting it back probably down to there and then up this way, and also in through there as well as this little section here. So I've already cut some templates out for that, and because I'm actually going to have to remove the flange in there and obviously remove the weld in here, I decided to put another brace in. Some brace across the doorway here for a bit more strength, because at some stage, although that's not coming out, this will actually have to come undone. Now I've already had to release some pressure where it was folded in there, but I'm actually going to have to pull this section right out, pardon me, which will also mean removing what's left of the cross member in there, which supports the gearbox. Now, I've said earlier that I actually made up a little jig. I'll just get a light up here. Made up a jig to position that, so that actually, that's how it mounts to the rails, and it positions the gearbox mounting points. So I can actually remove what's left of that if I need to, and I think I will need to, but I'll retain those positions. So that'll be handy when I put the new cross member in. So this stage, decided to work from the rear of the car forward. Like that. So I'll undo all of this around in here. The seatbelt mounts, because I'm going to cut probably just below that, I'll replace those mounts. They're corroded on the inside, so I'll put new mounting plates on the inside. Might make them a little bit wider. I'll see at this stage. So yes, release that. I'll grind this weld off and remove this so I can actually get at this to replace it. These little captive nuts, I've got one at the front, the one at the back is obviously rusted off, so I'll actually have to remake the rear one. Anyway, I'll get the cover for the console cover for the transmission tunnel, and make sure they're aligned properly when I put them back on. So anyway, so that's it at this stage. I've already, I think I mentioned, I've test fitted the floor and the sills. They're okay. I've found the alignment points. The alignment points being obviously the reaction plate at the front and the cups at the rear that sit here onto the rear IRS. So I've got the mounting positions for those, so they all lined up okay. I'll probably drop the floor back in when I get to the stage of fitting these, because obviously these little flanges, or what's left of them, actually have to line up with the floor. Now when I did the trial fit, everything lined up, at least the little bits that I've got of the floor, so I'll make sure that's right before I weld in the new repair sections.